All right, everybody, I think we're live. Just going to wait for my phone to get caught up here. I'm going to be watching the chat on the phone. Because I know some people, they didn't. I guess it's kind of hard because I can't really explain it that easy. But yeah, this whole thing with StreamYard, I have to keep an eye on the chat. And I can do that if I'm just looking at the StreamYard page, but I have to switch pages and then go through the spoilers, which is a completely different page. I guess I can just wait for people to show up here. We got Frank, or we got Fran, sorry. Hello. A lot of interesting cards here. This is a pretty big set. Got like 500 cards for Jumpstart. Even though the majority of the cards seem to be from M21, we got like 7 people in here now. Yeah, sorry I missed the last couple days. I've been kind of busy doing other stuff. Have like family events and stuff that you have to go and attend, and you don't have all the time in the world to do live streams, but I can at least go over what I missed the last couple days. And just like going over all of the different packs, it looks pretty cool. It looks like an interesting gimmick that they're going with. And that was always like my favorite thing about certain sets, like with Conspiracy. I enjoyed Battle Bond as well for the same reason. If it involved multiple people, it was a pretty cool thing. And that's what I remember the most about Magic the Gathering is the experiences that I had with my friends. It wasn't so much just because the sets were cool. If it involved like multiple people, because I have a pretty close group of friends, and we used to go to the game store all the time before the whole coronavirus thing. So it's like everybody knew everybody there. We got Oscar Gaming. How's it going? Probably gonna have a sealed event of Jumpstart. Yeah, I think a lot of people are gonna have their first events now coming up here for both the core set and for Jumpstart. It's a big downer though for the whole coronavirus thing is that people weren't able to go out to their local game stores. So anyway, I'm going to go over some of these spoilers here. Let me full screen it so you guys can see it. So you guys can see all the cards. This is the wizard deck. Or not the wizard deck, but the wizard pack. You know what I mean. Each pack has 20 cards in it. And you put 2 of these packs together and you can make a deck. And like a 40 card deck. So we see here we have a reprint from M21. I don't know if it's considered a reprint because it's so close together, but it's just thrown in here as M21. But this is Baron, Tolarian Archmage. We get a reprint of Talryn Sky Summoner. Very solid wizard. Probably something I would consider more for like a spellcaster deck or a spellslinger deck, where you just want to get that cast number up, keep casting those instants and sorceries. Franz, how many rares in a pack? I think it's just I don't know, but I've heard that people said that you can get like an extra rare in some of these packs. I don't know what that means. But we have Riptide Laboratory, so this is the big reprint for the Wizard pack. But yeah, these packs are going to be primarily reprints, commons, uncommons, stuff we've seen before. This is so far my favorite one, or at least one of my favorites, Witchcraft. I like all the cool Halloween themed stuff here. We have witches, we have warlocks. Um, Kind of a missed opportunity, if you ask me. We have the errata of dogs now. So Izamaru is considered a dog and not a hound anymore. They could have done the same thing instead of having human wizard or human warlock here. You could have had like human witch. But the new card here, I believe, is Witch of the Moors. So at the beginning of your end step, If you gain life this turn, each opponent sacrifices a creature, and you return up to one target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Yeah, Talrand is a pretty good wizard. Bubbling Cauldron, Festering Newt. Yeah, they finally got a reprint. Very good. Very. I don't think they're really that good, but it's a cool little gimmick. So you have the Bogbrew Witch here, you have the Bubbling Cauldron, and you have the Festering Newt. They all seem to interact with one another. The Festering Newt interacts with the Bogbrew Witch. I think the Bogbrew Witch interacts with the Cauldron, and the Cauldron interacts with the Newt. So you get like a cool little triangle effect there. We have Well Read. Some of these pack names are kind of uninspired. But yeah, this is all about drawing cards. That's sort of the thing in Magic the Gathering. Whenever anything has to do with reading or gaining knowledge, it always has something to do with drawing cards. Big reprint, obviously, is Rhystic Study, one of the most valuable cards in Commander. As far as gameplay goes, it's incredibly powerful. You just get an insane amount of cards. And the new card for this pack is Ormos Archive Keeper. So if you would draw a card while your library has no cards in it, instead put 5+1/+1 counters on Ormos Archive Keeper. And you can pay 3 mana to discard 3 cards and then draw. It has to be 3 cards with different names, and then you draw 5 cards. So it's a pretty solid loot ability because you are getting more card advantage. Franz asks, can you get more than one copy of a card in the same pack? I would imagine so. If you get, I don't know, in the same pack, I know it's probably, I mean, it's definitely possible if you have 2 different packs that you're going to get, because packs share certain cards. But for the same pack, I don't know. I doubt it. If I had to give my honest opinion, I doubt you're going to get 2 of the same non-land card. This one is Walls. So we have Towering Titan, which is the new one. Enters the battlefield with X+1/+1 counters on it, where X is the total toughness of other creatures you control. So just another big green creature that makes your other creatures bigger. This time it's for toughness. Not quite Craterhoof Behemoth, but you get the point. Not really a big fan of walls in any kind of limited format. I mean, they're good every now and then, like something like Wall of Blossoms that draws you a card. Otherwise, I'm not really the biggest fan. Hope you all seen some good vibes my way. So Real Madrid can pick up 3 points versus, you're talking about soccer. Hello, Hexproof Anarchist. Yeah, this is Vampires. So this is, I don't know if there's any new cards. Is there a new Vampire in here specifically from the Jumpstart set? It might be Nocturnal Feeder. So when it dies, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. But this is really reprint central. We have Exquisite Blood, Blood Artist, the new Veto guy from N21. And we have Drana, Liberator of Malakir. Looking like a really solid option if this is one of your 20. You also get a Falconwrath Noble, so you get the bigger version of Blood Artist that's exactly the same ability. Looking pretty cool as far as the pack goes. And this one's Unicorns, which comes with a legendary unicorn. So you can go with Unicorn Tribal. Dr. Bell says, real talk, though, it's about time they reprint Study. Yeah, absolutely. It was always one of those cards people asked for as far as reprints go. And it was reprinted before, so it's not like it was a reserve list deal. Some people new to the game, they just confuse cards that don't get reprinted as being cards on the reserve list. No, it's not even something that's eligible. It's not a rare from that time period. Uh, but it got reprinted for Commander Arsenal, like back in 2011, 2012. So you have Emil the Blessed, 4 mana, mono white legendary unicorn. Let me go ahead and enlarge so we can at least look at the text. We can pay 3 mana, exile another target creature you control, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. So you get a cool little blink ability. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you can pay a hybrid green-white. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on it. If it's a unicorn, put 2 +1/+1 counters on it instead. As far as Unicorn Tribal goes, I'm not certain how much of it there is. Yeah, Oscar Gaming, we cannot use Jumpstart cards in Standard. These are only Eternal. As far as the new cards go, you can't use the new cards, the brand new ones exclusive to this set. You can use the reprints from like M20 if you want to, or M21. And we have a Blessed Sanctuary. I don't know if this is a new card, but it looks like it for unicorns. Prevent all non-combat damage that would be dealt to you and creatures you control. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, create a 2/2 white unicorn creature token. So this is a cool little combo with Emil, so you can get 2 +1/+1 counters on those tokens. And we have Brightmare here. When it enters the battlefield, tap up to 1 target creature. You gain life equal to that creature's power. So you got some blink unicorns here. Not super powerful though, but a cool little gimmick if you wanted to make a unicorn deck in Commander. We have Under the Sea. This is a cool little name here. Under the Sea. You can go infinite with Emil and an old card called Workhorse. I'll have to look that up here in a minute. So Pursued Whale is a reprint from M21. I don't know if there's anything brand new. Cryptic Serpent, I think that's from an Amonkhet set. But wow, yeah, this apparently not enough cards revealed for it yet. But if there's a brand new, like Kraken or something like that, that'd be really sweet. We have Tree Hugging, which I think most of the good cards in this one were already revealed. The brand new, well, I guess it's not brand new, but this is from M21. We have Jolreal. I don't know how to pronounce these names. Yeah, Mimwanvali Recluse. I'm bad with these names. So I apologize in advance if I botch these names completely. It's because, Wizards of the Coast, they're really good at making up random names. But yeah, we have Primordial Sage and Soul of the Harvest. Really solid Commander cards if you just want to constantly abuse cast triggers, ETB triggers, draw a bunch of cards. And we get a Teferi deck because, wasn't bad enough that was already a pretty powerful Planeswalker. Get Arthur here saying, wait, you're back? Yes, I am. And I do a little bit of live streaming for now. I'll probably have to do a top 10 for M21. Might be a little bit harder to do one for this set, but I'll definitely try. Yeah, this Teferi was pretty cool, though, because you can use the abilities on anybody's turn. As far as the new cards go, I don't think there's anything brand new from this set. So we get a spooky one. So if you weren't convinced by the whole witchcraft one, if you weren't convinced by the vampires, you actually get a spooky centric pack. I don't know how many new cards in this set specifically. Looks like it's mostly reprints, and we get the M21 Liliana Standard Bearer. I like Black Market, but as far as 40 cards go, I don't know how good that's going to be. Usually it's about getting the right cards and, top decking something really good. If I have plenty of mana, I'm going to need some kind of mana sink. And I don't really see it here. I guess we have Plagued Rusalka, but I don't know how good that's going to be. Maybe paired up with Sanitarium Skeleton, and you just abuse the heck out of that black market. That could be really cool. We get Spirits, which I just looked at this previously before I started the video, and it looks like the least inspired deck. Or at least one of the least inspired ones. They're pretty weak. I don't think we get anything new here yet. We'll have to wait and see, but Spirits, not really strong. You get like 2 powered flyers. Ooh, maybe you can give them an extra power with Battleground Geist. We get spellcasting. So spellcasting in red. Very sweet. Obviously, everybody knows about Young Pyromancer. But I think this is a new card here. Emulating Gaze. Mythic Rare. Deals X damage to each creature in Planeswalker you don't control, where X is the number of instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard. Pretty powerful. I don't know how. I mean, that could be really good in 40 card. But I know in Commander, that's really sweet. Talk about mid-late game, you could have like 10 instants or sorceries in your graveyard. And it's a one-sided board wipe. Pretty powerful. Dual Caster Mage, one of my favorite red creatures. Really sweet with flash. So that was the spell casting in mono red. Smashing, another mono red deck here. Again, some of these are not very inspired. I mean, I could really see I could see this going well with the spellcasting strategy, but not too well. We have a Tali, which is always really good if you want to get if you want to take advantage of casting. So if you have anything that triggers on cast, you can get even more cards to take advantage of. Hamlet back Goliath. Yeah, I remember this in Commander. This and Sarah Avatar, like whenever you get those creatures that can just get really big, they don't have trample or really any good abilities. They're just massive creatures. It's always fun to do stuff like fling them at people. And there is a fling in this deck. And we get Seismic. Yeah, these red decks are kind of, I don't know. They sort of blend in with each other, but they have different themes technically. So I guess you can burn people if you want to play like a burn deck. But I would see this better. Like if you want to go with the spells, with the, what's it called again? The spell casting strategy. That would probably work out pretty well. But Grim Lavamancer reprint. So far, nothing new for this deck either. We have Rogues. And yeah, this is what I was talking about earlier. I forget who asked the question. But you can get duplicates because some of these packs share the same cards. And I think this is something we kind of knew this going into the Jumpstart, that we have creatures with 2 different types, but you could have a rogue pack, you could have a vampire pack. Here we have a vampire rogue. And we also get a Gonti reprint, because Gonti is, probably one of the best rogues in Commander too. Thieves Guild Enforcer from M21. But other than the vampire rogue, I don't see anything new from that. We get Reanimated, probably one of the coolest, and I would assume one of the stronger packs that you can get if you're going to be playing this kind of game. Just my opinion, but if you can get the 9 mana, this is pretty much a win con, really any format. Reanimate's already a powerful card. You get some pretty strong creatures here. You get Scourge of Neltoth from Commander 2015. You get the Grave Waker bird. So if you're not bringing back your creatures, with Rise of Dark Realms and Reanimate, you should be able to bring back your opponents as well, which is very, very strong. Exhume would be really powerful if there was something like, was it Kozilek's Chosen or Kozilek something? The big Eldrazi's that don't shuffle themselves into your graveyard. No, this is the one I'm thinking of. This is definitely the one I'm thinking of as far as like uninspired. This one's pretty bad. The Rainbow deck. Okay, I guess you can use 5 mana. But what is Raging Regisaur doing in here? Oh, I guess you could technically play it in 5 colors. Augur Spree, Law Mage's Binding. Like, what do these have to do with the rainbow? I guess you can technically play it. I mean, I could see Fusion Elemental, Maelstrom Archangel. But this was such a bad option. It's probably not going to be that good if you. I mean, you have some good cards in here for limited, like Dinrova Horror. I mean, these are good cards for limited, but I mean, the whole rainbow theme, I don't really see it there. We get Predatory. Now we go into the green decks here. And this is the newer card, Naeth of the Dire Hunt. Yeah, Arthur, that deck should have a Chromatic Lantern at least, some kind of good reprint to make it worthwhile. But this is kind of the double the power creature. So you can use Gruul because the ability, it is a triggered ability, but it has the mana symbol there. It's not in parentheses. It's not reminder text. So you should be able to make like a Gruul commander deck with Naeth of the Dire Hunt. But other than that, I mean, we have Thragtusk, which is always good and limited. Love Thragtusk in Cube. Nothing super special otherwise. You get +1. Here we have a Primeval Bounty. Very good reprint. Awesome mythic rare. If you like getting value for your cards, it's a very solid one. If you want to play like a land strategy in Commander, very good if you can just abuse anything having to do with lands. Branching Evolution. This might be a newer card, so let me just... and I say it might be newer because it's out of focus, so that means that it was likely something someone took a picture of. And that could be an indicator that it's a new card. If one or more +1/+1 counters will be put on a creature you control, twice that many +1/+1 counters are put on that creature instead. So it's a more affordable doubling season or Primeval Bounty. Or not Primeval Bounty. What's the card? It's the worst doubling season. You guys know what I'm talking about. But a very solid card. It's just 3 mana. But it only works for your stuff. Anytime you can have like a good ability like that that's one-sided, it's going to do you wonders in limited. And we have Inspiring Call. You get some really good card draw there. Armorcraft Judge, really good card draw. And Rishkar, very solid with Champion of Lambholt. So yeah, this +1/+1 counter strategy I think is going to be pretty solid. Even got a Fertilid for ramp if you need it. Pirates, very sweet that we get some pirate representation here. We get a new, I think this is a new card, a Pirate Lord, Corsair Captain. When it enters the battlefield, you create a treasure token, and other pirates you control get +1/+1. So very simple. Not really taking many chances there as far as the design goes. We get Coastal Piracy as a reprint, as an uncommon. I think that's a downgrade. It used to be a rare, didn't it? Here we get another card that's also in the Spirit deck, Departed Deckhand. So I don't think pirates were too strong before, but they're definitely better off in limited. And this looks really cool right here, the Phyrexian deck. Even though so far it seems to be mostly filled with reprints, we get the black Phyrexian. I guess you could say the ultimate Phyrexian in black, Shieldred. Get Entomber Exarch, uh, Perilous Mirror, I guess. Phyrexian Gargantua, Phyrexian Reclamation, Phyrexian Rager is also really solid and limited. Is Parallel Lives the doubling season you're talking about? No, I think I'm talking about. It was only printed in Commander 2013. It has like a gorilla on it. I think it came in the Prosh deck. But yeah, it's a card I think most people kind of ignore because if you have access to doubling season, like it is a worse doubling season because I think it specifies like +1/+1 counters, and doubling season you can abuse other counters. This is really cool right here though, Minotaurs. We get a new Minotaur Lord. I think it's a Lord, right? Sethron Hurloon General. So legendary Minotaur Warrior. Whenever Sethron uh, or another non-token Minotaur enters the battlefield under your control, create a 2/3 red Minotaur creature token. You can also pay 3 mana, one of it being black-red, so this can be a black-red Minotaur deck if you want to. Minotaurs you control get +1/+0 and gain menace and haste until end of turn. So if you're a fan of Neheb, but you are worried about not really being flavorful with Minotaurs, here you have a flavorful tribal commander option. And it's also really cool. I don't know if we've Rageblood, Shaman, other Minotaur creatures you control get +1/+1 and have trample. I think that's a reprint. Some of these trick me because they get different art. But yeah, Minotaurs are freaking cool. And I think they are better off in a 40 card deck. Here we have minions. We get another Nocturnal Feeder. So this is the third time I'm seeing this Vampire Rogue. Get an Azra Warlock here. This is Kel's Fight Fixer from the Battle Bond world. And she has Menace, and whenever you sacrifice a creature, you can pay 1 hybrid blue black. And if you do, you draw a card. You can pay a mana, sack a creature, though, and she gains indestructible until end of turn. You get a Phyrexian Tower in this deck. I hope that's also in the Phyrexian pack, because that needs to be in there. But Goldcollar Giza is also a really sweet reprint. I think she was like a $15 card, maybe even a $20 card. Yeah, Arthur, you think minions are the coolest one? Oh yeah, Primal Vigor. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, Primal Vigor is like the pseudo doubling season. Here we have Mill. And now this card right here, I just found out about today. Really sweet, super simple, but it makes Mill even more powerful. So Bruvac, the Grandiloquent, 3 mana, legendary creature, human advisor. If an opponent would mill 1 or more cards, they mill twice those many cards instead. And we have some pretty interesting mill cards. I'm surprised we don't see those other advisors. You know, the ones from a while ago, where if you tap 5 or 6, you can mill an opponent, like 10 cards or something like that, 20. Nothing super crazy, but you know, you have an advisor here. And I think other than that, the deck is pretty much just reprints we've seen before. We have a Liliana deck. So we have one of these packs. Some of these have planeswalkers in them, and I mean, obviously, if you have a planeswalker in limited, it's usually been a pretty solid deck. You probably did well. I mean, that's depending on the planeswalker. Some of them are pretty bad. But yeah, we have a lot of Liliana themed cards, so this makes sense. We have Liliana's Reaver, I think, in another deck. So expect to see that in here as well. Liliana's Standard Bearer, which is a pretty sweet card from M21. But yeah, I don't think there's anything brand new in this deck. I keep saying deck, but I mean pack. You guys know what I mean. Lightning, I think we've been over these cards before. Chain Lightning, Ball Lightning, Lightning Bolt. A lot of lightning themed cards, so this was a pretty cool idea. And Legion, which kind of seems to be about anthems. We have Glorious Anthem. I guess just numbers, maybe. Yeah, I don't quite understand this one. It seems to be less inspired. We even get some of the dog representation. It's a little all over the place, but the Path to Exile reprint is pretty cool. The lands, I think we went over. We get a Uvenwald Hydra and Oracle of Moldiah reprint. Get some other cool support cards in here, like Zendikar's Royal. Get Spore Mound for more tokens. Other than that, I think we've been over that deck. Heavily Armored. One of my favorite underrated cards is Mikaeus the Lunarch. Not just if you want to go wide, but if you just love playing around with counters. And Cathar's Crusade with Mikaeus the Lunarch is pretty awesome. Get a reprint of Duelist Heritage. Very much needed reprint. Awesome card. If you're playing Voltron or anything like that. And then we have Goblins. So I think this is something, I don't think I've went over this one before. But I think this is a brand new Goblin. We get Muxus Goblin Grandee. So 6 mana red, Goblin Noble. When he enters the battlefield, reveal the top 6 cards of your library. Put all Goblin creature cards with converted mana cost 5 or less from among them onto the battlefield, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Whenever he attacks, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each other Goblin you control. And that's with no other abilities, but I think the ETB is solid enough. Maybe not to overthrow Krenko, but it's a solid Goblin. We get a reprint of Goblin Chieftain. Again, some of these newer artworks fool me at first, but obviously you get Krenko in the Goblin pack. Beetleback Chief. Is there a Siege Gang Commander? You get Goblin so you can get 5 tokens at least. Got Goblin Goon. Is this a reprint or a brand new one? Goblin Goon can't attack unless you control more creatures than defending player. And it can't block unless you control more creatures than attacking player. And that's a 6/6 for 4 mana. We get a Garruk-themed one. Looks like the same deal as the other Planeswalker packs. It's primarily just the reprints from M21. We get a Feathered Friends. So if you like angels, archons, birds, you get Bird Warriors, Pegasus, you get Griffins. Get a little bit of everything here as far as the feathered creatures go. And I think this is a new one. Steel Plume Marshal. 5 mana white bird soldier. When Steel Plume Marshal attacks, other attacking creatures you control with flying get +2/+2 until end of turn. Good enough and limited. I mean, nothing super special here. Angel of the Dire Hour is awesome in Commander. Really, you can just come out of nowhere and just ruin your opponent's day. We have Archon of Justice. When it dies, exile target permanent. Awesome card. I mean, in Commander, you can fool around with death triggers. And Archon of Redemption. I don't think I've seen this card before either. When Archon of Redemption or another creature with flying enters the battlefield under your control, you may gain life equal to the creature's power. Seems familiar, but if not, it's a pretty solid card. Gain life. Enchanted. So you have an enchantment theme. Get a Core Spirit Dancer reprint, Celestial Mantle reprint. Enchantments in Limited are very powerful because most people don't prioritize like non-creature removal. Elves, we've been over this deck. I think primarily it's just this new card in Craterhoof Behemoth. And we also get an Elvish Archdruid reprint. Dragons look really cool. We get Laughless reprinted. We have the M21 Terror of the Peaks and the M21 Gadrek the Crown Scourge. Dragons are probably going to be pretty powerful here too. We get dogs. So the big reprint here was Isamaru as a dog. We get Pack Leader, the Dog Lord for M21. And I think this is the new card here, which is Release the Dogs. It's a dog-themed, token sorcery. But nothing really new out of that. We get Doctor. And this one is actually not that bad because at least you understand the theme. It's about healing yourself. So you get life gain themed cards. And that just goes beyond like any specific strategy. There's a lot of cards that are just, like Revitalize. That's very much on theme. There's a lot of clerics that heal as well. We have the discarding pack. Wow, look at that swamp. It's a really cool looking swamp. Yeah, here's the Liliana's Reaver. That's probably going in the Liliana pack as well. But yeah, the Tiny Bones, Trinket Thief. Looking like a really promising commander option. Dinosaurs. So far, we don't really have much beyond just Galta. But I mean, the Selvala reprint is really good. I mean, that's really where this pack is at. And Primal Might from M21 as well. We have Devilish. This one looks really cool. I mean, this is one of the newer ones, I think, that's been spoiled. So this is Zerzoth Chaos Rider. 3 mana, Legendary Devil. Whenever an opponent draws their first card each turn, if it's not their turn, you create a 1/1 red devil creature token with when this creature dies, it deals 1 damage to any target. That's a common theme with the devils that, like the tokens, when they die, you deal a damage. And whenever one or more devils you control attack one or more players, you and those players each draw a card, then discard a card at random. So this is actually really sweet. You can take advantage of card draw, and then you can play the burn game. So we finally have like a legendary devil for commander. And I think that's about it. I mean, Sin Prodder, very solid card. Don't think it needed a reprint, but very underrated for red. If you were looking for extra card draw, but you could also burn an opponent. Red. I've seen a ton of red, probably more than any other color. Yeah, Arthur seems fun and really good on wheel decks. I don't know if it's for wheel because I think it's the first card. Yeah, it's if it's not their turn. So it might be. Yeah, I guess if you can well, you wouldn't really need wheels. I guess you could just use what is it, Temple Bell? You could get that pretty easily without having to dump a lot into wheels. And then we get a cat deck because we have dogs. Why not? Get a Lurking Predators reprint. Doesn't look like we have much else in here that's new. We have Feline Sovereign from M21. Doesn't look like we have anything else. Wow, that's almost entirely just cards from M21. We have an Archaeology deck, which is the artifact one, obviously. And I don't think there's anything new here. Scholar of the Lost Trove might be new. So 7 mana Blue Sphinx. When it enters the battlefield, you may cast target instant sorcery or artifact card from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. If an instant or sorcery spell cast this way would be put into your graveyard this turn, exile it instead. So it's kind of like your Snapcaster Mage, but including artifacts. Doesn't have flash though. So it's, I guess, a little bit worse. Just a little bit. If you can get artifacts, that's pretty big though. And that's also cool because you can split up the strategy. If you go for like the spellcaster deck, you can also abuse it for instants and sorceries. Angel's looking really cool here with Baneslayer. Get a Linvala reprint. Angelic Arbiters also pretty powerful. Sarah Angels and All-Star Unlimited. Probably going to be one of the stronger packs if you can get it. I mean, big flyers, awesome abilities. That's always going to dominate. And it looks like the last pack here is Above the Clouds. And we do get a new card here. At least I think. Again, I'm assuming a lot of these cards are new. I'm pretty sure this one is. Eniaz, the Gale Force, 5 mana mono blue Djinn. With flying, you have an ability here for 3 mana, one of it being white and blue. Attacking creatures with flying get +1/+1 until end of turn. So if you have a lot of mana, you can dump it into that ability and give all of your creatures an insane amount of power and toughness. And there's also another ability here. Whenever 3 or more creatures you control with flying attack, each player gains control of a non-land permanent of your choice controlled by the player to their right. So we get a little bit of chaos here. We get a little bit of directional chaos. At least it's a pretty creative card here. We get Kira. Awesome reprint. Needed one desperately. We get the flying theme here with Wind Reader Sphinx. But it looks like that's pretty much it. So I guess I can just chill out here and read the chat. Just remove the screen. So what are you guys thinking about Magic the Gathering's Jumpstart set? Does anybody know if the packs are going to be colored? I don't know. It might be randomized. I think in order to keep it fair for sealed, they'll probably be randomized, but like once you open it, you'll know the pack. You'll recognize it. I doubt the theme will be hard. I mean, there's some of those packs like what is it? The one with Grim Lavamancer that might be hard to find out, or it might be hard to really tell which deck it is, just because there's so many of those mono red packs. Hard to see cards to do narrated card slideshows. Well, I mean, I was actually looking at my phone to see the chat. Yeah, I don't believe there's supposed to be a way just to keep it fair. Am I a dog or cat person? I like a little bit of both. But if I had to be honest, I think cats are a lot easier. And they're a lot less noisy. Well, I guess it depends. But once you get a cat trained to go in the litter box, they're pretty much, you don't have to do anything but just feed them. With a dog, there's a lot of stuff you have to do. You have to take them for walks. You have to give them baths. You have to clean them. Cats can clean themselves. So cats are a lot less effort, but I don't know. Some people really like dogs. I've had both, and I like them both pretty much. But if I had to choose like one over the other, I would probably go with a cat just because it's easier. You can leave the home if you have to go work like 8 or 9 hours a day. Just set up like a food bowl for a cat. You don't have to worry about the cat necessarily destroying your apartment. And again, it does depend on the cat. But yeah, thank you guys for stopping by. I'm probably going to do another live stream tomorrow. I guess it depends on what there is to talk about. But I could do maybe not a live stream, but I might do my first top 10 videos since returning. Might have to be about M21 or something like that. Something new. I might do a top 10 for this set as well. But anyway, you guys take it easy. Void here signing off. Have a wonderful day.